Barnaby's Big Adventure, the teddy bear who saw the world. Barnaby Buttercup wasn't your average teddy bear. Most teddies were content to sit on shelves, cuddle in beds, and maybe go on the occasional trip to the park. But Barnaby? Oh, Barnaby dreamed of adventure. He longed to see the world beyond his little room, to taste different foods, hear different languages, and meet new and interesting people and perhaps a few other well-traveled teddy bears. Barnaby belonged to a little girl named Lily. Lily loved Barnaby dearly, but she was a homebody. She enjoyed drawing, reading, and playing in her backyard. While Barnaby appreciated Lily's love, he knew his true calling lay beyond the picket fence. One starlit night, as Lily slept soundly, Barnaby made a decision. He wasn't going to run away, not exactly. He was going to embark on a temporary adventure. He carefully slipped out of Lily's arms, tiptoed, well, maybe wobbled, to the window, and with a leap of faith and a small thump, landed safely on the soft grass below. His first stop was the garden shed. He'd overheard Lily's dad talking about a trip he was taking. Inside, nestled amongst gardening tools and bags of fertilizer, was a large, bright red suitcase. Barnaby knew this was his chariot to adventure. He squeezed himself inside, nestled amongst some socks and a spare t-shirt, and waited. The next morning, with a thump, bang, clatter, the suitcase was loaded into the car. Barnaby held his breath as the car zoomed off, leaving Lily's house far behind. He was on his way. His first destination was London. Oh, London. Barnaby poked his head out of the suitcase at every opportunity. He saw the towering Big Ben, the majestic Buckingham Palace, and the swirling River Thames. He even managed to sneak out for a photo with a beefeater who, Barnaby thought, had a surprisingly kind face under that serious expression. He ate fish and chips, well, smelled them mostly, and learned to say cheerio. From London, the suitcase journeyed to Paris. Bonjour, Paris. Barnaby chirped, mostly to himself. He saw the Eiffel Tower sparkle at night, smelled the delicious aroma of freshly baked croissants, and even managed to attend a puppet show in a park. He learned to say merci. Next, the suitcase flew across the Atlantic to New York City. The skyscrapers were so tall they tickled the clouds. Barnaby saw the Statue of Liberty, walked through Central Park, carefully avoiding the pigeons, and tasted a real New York hot dog, okay? Just a tiny lick of the mustard. He learned to say awesome. The journey continued. Barnaby saw the pyramids of Egypt, rode on a camel, in the suitcase, of course, and learned to say salam. He marveled at the Great Wall of China, ate or smelled delicious dumplings, and learned to say anyhow. He danced in his mind during a samba parade in Rio de Janeiro, smelled the fragrant coffee beans, and learned to say obrigado. Every city, every country, every new smell and sound filled Barnaby with wonder. He collected souvenirs, a tiny pebble from the beach in Australia, a colorful feather from a bird in the Amazon rainforest, a smooth stone from the mountains of Nepal. He carefully stitched them onto his fur, each a reminder of his incredible journey. But as the weeks turned into months, a tiny ache started to grow in Barnaby's heart. He missed Lily. He missed her warm hugs, her bedtime stories, and the way she always told him her secrets. He realized that while seeing the world was amazing, it wasn't the same without someone to share it with. He started to make a plan. He knew he had to get back to Lily, but how? He was just a small teddy bear, and the world was a very big place. One day, the suitcase landed in Tokyo. Barnaby peeked out and saw Lily's dad talking on the phone. He overheard him saying, almost finished with the project, heading home next week, Lily will be so happy to see me. Barnaby's heart leaped. Home. He had to find a way to let Lily's dad know he was there. He waited until nightfall when the hotel room was quiet. He carefully climbed out of the suitcase and looked around. He spotted a notepad and a pen on the desk. He knew he couldn't write, but maybe he could leave a message. He dipped his paw in a little bit of spilled ink from a pen and started making paw prints on the notepad, hoping Lily's dad would notice something was off. He made a little face out of paper clips and laid it next to the paw prints. The next morning, Lily's dad was surprised to find an inky paw print trail leading to the suitcase. He opened it cautiously, and there, nestled amongst the clothes, was Barnaby. Lily's dad gasped. He knew how much Lily loved Barnaby. He must have accidentally packed him. He carefully took Barnaby out of the suitcase and gave him a hug. Don't worry, little guy, he whispered. We're going home to Lily. The flight home felt like forever to Barnaby. He couldn't wait to see Lily again. Finally, the plane landed and Lily's dad drove home. As soon as they reached the house, Lily's dad went to Lily's room with Barnaby. Lily was in her room drawing, and she looked glum. Her dad held the door open with one hand cupping Barnaby. Lily, I have a surprise for you, Lily's dad said with a light-hearted tone. Lily peeked up from her drawing with a bit of confusion. Barnaby, Lily screamed with joy. She picked up Barnaby from her father and started hugging him tightly. "I missed you so much." "Where did you go?" she asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Lily's dad smiled. "Well," he said, "it seems Barnaby went on a little adventure of his own. He's been all over the world." Lily's eyes sparkled with amazement. She looked at Barnaby's fur, noticing the tiny pebble, the colorful feather, and the smooth stone. "Wow, Barnaby," she whispered. "You saw so many amazing things." Barnaby snuggled into Lily's arms, feeling happier than he had ever felt before. He was home. He was with Lily, and he had a lifetime of stories to tell. That night, as Lily drifted off to sleep, Barnaby whispered into her ear, "The world is a wonderful place, Lily, but there's no place like home. And there's no one I'd rather share it with than you." Lily snuggled closer to Barnaby, a small smile on her face. She knew deep in her heart that Barnaby was right. From that day on, Barnaby and Lily still went on adventures, but they went on them together. They explored the woods behind their house, built sandcastles on the beach, and even took a trip to the local museum to see dinosaur bones. And every night, before Lily went to sleep, Barnaby would tell her stories of his travels, the bustling streets of London, the romantic cafes of Paris, the towering skyscrapers of New York. And Lily would listen, her eyes wide with wonder, dreaming of all the amazing places she would one day see with Barnaby by her side. Barnaby never went on another solo trip. He learned that the greatest adventures aren't just about seeing new places, but about sharing those experiences with the people you love. And for Barnaby, the greatest adventure of all was being home with Lily. Now close your eyes, little one. Think of Barnaby and Lily and all the wonderful adventures they had together. Dream of faraway lands, exciting discoveries, and the warm feeling of being loved. And remember, no matter where you go in life, the most important thing is to have someone to share it with. Good night and sweet dreams. The Kindness Key and the Whispering Woods. Once upon a time, nestled in a valley filled with giggling streams and rainbow-colored flowers, was a small village called Sunnybrook. In Sunnybrook lived a young girl named Lily. Lily had bright, curious eyes and a heart even brighter. She loved exploring, collecting smooth, colorful stones, and most of all, she loved making other people smile. But Sunnybrook wasn't always sunny. Lately, a strange gloom had settled over the village. The flowers seemed less vibrant, the streams less giggly, and the villagers, well, they seemed to have forgotten how to smile. Old Man Fitzwilliam wasn't telling his funny stories anymore. Mrs. Gable wasn't baking her famous blueberry pies, and even the village dogs seemed to have lost their wag in their tails. Lily couldn't understand it. What had happened to Sunnybrook? One afternoon, while wandering near the Whispering Woods, a place most villagers avoided because of its reputation for being, well, whispery and a little bit spooky, Lily stumbled upon something peculiar. Half buried beneath a mossy rock lay a small, tarnished key. It wasn't made of ordinary metal. This key seemed to shimmer with a faint, golden light, even in the shade of the trees. Etched into its surface was a single word: kindness. Intrigued, Lily picked up the key. As her fingers wrapped around it, a warm feeling spread through her, and she heard a faint whisper in her ear. "Use me wisely, little one." Lily shivered, not from fear, but from excitement. A whispering key, and one that said, kindness. This had to be connected to the gloom that had fallen over Sunnybrook. That evening, Lily showed the key to her Grandma Willow, a wise woman with twinkling eyes and a voice like warm honey. Grandma Willow examined the key carefully, her brow furrowed in thought. "This is no ordinary key, Lilybug," she said finally. "This is the kindness key. Legend says it unlocks the hearts of those who have forgotten the joy of giving and receiving kindness. But be warned, it only works for those who are truly pure of heart and seek only to help others." Lily's eyes widened. Do you think it can help Sunnybrook, Grandma?" Grandma Willow smiled. "I believe it can, Lily, but the key itself is not enough. You, my dear, must be the one to turn it." And so Lily's adventure began. The next morning, Lily decided to start with Old Man Fitzwilliam. She found him sitting on his porch, looking sadly at the wilted roses in his garden. "Hello, Mr. Fitzwilliam," Lily said cheerfully. "Your roses look a little thirsty. May I help you water them?" Old Man Fitzwilliam looked surprised. "Well, hello, Lily. That's very kind of you. But I don't have the energy these days. Lily didn't give up. She fetched the watering can and, with a determined smile, began to water the roses. As she worked, she told Mr. Fitzwilliam about the kindness key and how she hoped it could help Sunnybrook. Old man Fitzwilliam listened quietly, a flicker of interest in his eyes. When Lily finished, he noticed one of the roses has bloomed beautifully. "You know," he said, his voice a little stronger, "those roses remind me of a story about a mischievous gnome and a singing sunflower." And just like that, Old man Fitzwilliam began to tell one of his famous stories. Lily laughed, and for the first time in weeks, Old man Fitzwilliam chuckled too. Lily didn't use the key just yet. She wanted to see if her kindness alone would work. The next day, Lily decided to help Mrs. Gable. She found her sitting in her bakery, looking forlornly at a bowl of unsweetened dough. "Hello, Mrs. Gable," Lily said. "Can I help you bake today? I'm a pretty good pie crimper, you know." Mrs. Gable sighed. "Oh, Lily dear, it's no use. I've lost my spark. I can't even remember the recipe for my blueberry pie." Lily didn't give up. She pulled up a stool and started mixing the dough, humming a cheerful tune. She asked Mrs. Gable about her favorite memories of baking, and slowly, Mrs. Gable began to remember. She remembered the secret ingredient, a pinch of cinnamon, the perfect oven temperature, and the way her grandmother used to sing while kneading the dough. Together, Lily and Mrs. Gable baked a blueberry pie. The smell filled the bakery, and soon, people were lining up outside, their faces filled with anticipation. As Mrs. Gable handed out slices of warm pie, a genuine smile spread across her face. Lily didn't use the key just yet. She wanted to see if her kindness alone would work. But despite Lily's efforts, the gloom over Sunnybrook remained. While some villagers were momentarily cheered, the overall feeling of sadness persisted. Lily realized that individual acts of kindness weren't enough. She needed to find a way to spread kindness throughout the entire village. So, from the help that she had given and the good deeds she had done, she took the key to an elderly lady that had been a villager in Sunnybrook for decades. "What is this that you bring to me?" questioned the elderly lady. "This is the key that can bring the town back from the gloom that it seems to be in," Lily answered. "And what must you do to get out of this gloomy situation?" asked the elderly lady. "I must use the key to unlock the hearts that contains the true kindness," Lily stated. The elderly lady gave the key back to her. "You must be pure in heart and seek only to help others to use the key," stated the elderly lady with a grin on her face. Lily wandered until she found herself back at the edge of the Whispering Woods. She sat down on a mossy log, feeling discouraged. Had Grandma Willow been wrong? Was the kindness key just a silly myth? Suddenly, she heard a faint sound. It was a whimper coming from deep within the woods. Lily hesitated. The Whispering Woods were a little spooky, but someone or something was in trouble. With a deep breath, Lily stepped into the woods. The trees loomed tall and dark, their branches intertwined like skeletal fingers. The air was cool and damp, and the whispers seemed to grow louder, swirling around her like ghostly voices. Lily followed the whimpers, pushing through thick bushes and stepping over gnarled roots. Finally, she came to a small clearing. In the center of the clearing, caught in a thorny bush, was a little bird. Its wing was twisted at an unnatural angle, and it was trembling with fear. Without hesitation, Lily carefully untangled the bird from the bush. Its tiny body was fragile and warm in her hands. She gently examined its wing. It was definitely broken. Lily knew she had to help. She carefully splinted the wing with a small twig and a strip of cloth from her pocket. She sang softly to the bird, her voice soothing and gentle. As she held the bird, Lily felt a surge of compassion. She wasn't thinking about the gloom in Sunnybrook, or the kindness key, or anything else but the little creature in her hands. She just wanted to help it feel better. And that's when it happened. The kindness key, which she had been carrying in her pocket, began to glow. Not just a faint shimmer, but a bright, radiant light. The light spread outwards, filling the clearing, then reaching through the trees and into the Whispering Woods. The whispers changed. They were no longer spooky or mournful. They were joyful. The trees seemed to straighten, their leaves rustling with renewed energy. The air felt lighter, cleaner. Lily looked down at the bird in her hands. It chirped weakly, then nuzzled its head against her finger. Its eyes seemed brighter, more hopeful. Lily realized that she didn't need to use the kindness key in the way she thought she did. The key wasn't a magical tool that unlocked hearts. It was a reminder that the real key to unlocking kindness was already inside her, inside everyone. It was compassion, empathy, and the willingness to help others, no matter how small or insignificant they might seem. It was pure intent. As the light from the kindness key faded, Lily carefully carried the bird out of the whispering woods. As she left this time, the woods did not whisper. When she emerged from the woods, she saw that Sunnybrook was changed. The flowers were blooming in vibrant colors, the streams were giggling merrily, and the villagers were smiling. Old Man Fitzwilliam was telling stories to a group of children, his voice full of laughter. Mrs. Gable was handing out blueberry pies, the aroma filling the air with sweetness. Even the village dogs were wagging their tails with enthusiasm. The change wasn't sudden or dramatic. It was a gradual shift, a softening of hearts, a rediscovery of joy. Lily knew that the light from the kindness key had touched everyone in Sunnybrook, reminding them of the power of kindness. Lily released the bird, and it flew away into the sky. That night, as Lily lay in bed, Grandma Willow came to tuck her in. "I saw the light lily bug," she said, her eyes twinkling. "You have a truly kind heart, my dear. You didn't just unlock the hearts of others. You unlocked your own." Lily smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. She knew that the kindness key wasn't just a magical object. It was a symbol of the kindness that lived within her and within everyone. And as long as she remembered to share that kindness with the world, Sunnybrook would always be a sunny place. And so, Lily continued to live in Sunnybrook, spreading kindness wherever she went. She watered the flowers, helped Mrs. Gable in the bakery, and listened to Old Man Fitzwilliam's stories. She learned that even the smallest acts of kindness could make a big difference, and that the greatest joy in life comes from helping others. She also learned that the whispering woods weren't so spooky after all. They were just waiting for someone to listen, to care, and to show a little kindness. And sometimes, all it takes is a little girl with a kind heart and a tarnished, golden key to unlock the magic within. Now close your eyes, little one, and remember Lily and the kindness key. Remember that you, too, have the power to spread kindness wherever you go. And remember that even the smallest act of compassion can make the world a brighter, sunnier place. Good night. The secret tunnel beneath my bed. Once upon a time, in a cozy little room painted the color of sunshine, lived a young boy named Leo. Leo loved exploring. He loved digging in the garden for buried treasure, mostly earthworms, climbing the old oak tree in his backyard, and drawing maps of faraway lands filled with dragons and talking squirrels. But Leo's biggest adventure started not in the garden or the tree or on paper, but right underneath his own bed. Leo's bed was an ordinary bed covered in a dinosaur-themed comforter and guarded by a plush lion named Rory. Or so everyone thought. One afternoon, while searching for a lost toy car, a bright red race car named Flash, Leo bumped his head on the bed frame. "Ouch," he cried, rubbing his forehead. He looked down, expecting to see dust bunnies and maybe a stray sock. Instead, he saw something extraordinary. Nestled in the floorboards beneath his bed, partially hidden by the thick carpet, was a small, wooden door. It was no bigger than a bread box, painted a faded blue, and had a tiny, tarnished brass handle. Leo had never noticed it before. Had it always been there? His heart thumped with excitement. Could this be? Could this really be? He reached out a trembling hand and grasped the handle. It felt cool and smooth beneath his fingers. He took a deep breath, picturing pirates and hidden gold, and pulled. The little door creaked open, revealing not a musty storage space, but a dark, narrow tunnel. It sloped downward, disappearing into the earth beneath his house. Leo's eyes widened. This was it. This was the adventure he had been waiting for. He raced to his closet and grabbed his trusty flashlight, a gift from his grandfather who had been a real-life explorer, or so he claimed, though his adventures were mostly limited to finding the best fishing spots. He strapped on his imaginary explorer's hat, a paper plate secured with a rubber band, and whispered to Rory, "Guard my room. I'm going on an adventure." Taking a deep breath, Leo shone the flashlight into the tunnel and started crawling. The tunnel was cool and damp, the air smelling of earth and something else, something sweet and slightly mysterious. He crawled for what felt like a very long time. The tunnel was just big enough for him, and he had to be careful not to scrape his knees. Finally, the tunnel began to widen. Leo crawled out into a small, round chamber. He stood up, brushing dirt off his jeans, and shone his flashlight around. The chamber was made of smooth, gray stone. In the center stood a single wooden crate. Leo cautiously approached the crate. It was old and worn, with faded carvings of flowers and leaves. He carefully lifted the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of soft moss, were 3 objects. A small, silver compass that spun wildly when he held it. A beautifully illustrated book titled The Whispering Woods. A single, bright blue feather. Leo picked up the compass. It spun so fast it made him dizzy. He quickly put it back in the crate. Then he opened the book. As soon as he touched the pages, he felt a strange tingling sensation run through his fingers. The illustrations seemed to move and shimmer, and he could almost hear the rustling of leaves and the chirping of birds. Intrigued, Leo began to read. The book told the story of the Whispering Woods, a magical place hidden deep within the earth where animals could talk, trees could sing, and dreams came true. The woods were protected by a guardian, a wise old owl named Professor Hoot, who knew all the secrets of the earth. Leo was captivated. Could such a place really exist? He looked at the blue feather. It seemed to shimmer with an inner light. He picked it up and held it tight. Suddenly, he heard a faint rustling sound. He shone his flashlight towards the sound and saw a tiny mouse. But this wasn't any ordinary mouse. This mouse was wearing a tiny waistcoat and spectacles, and it held a miniature scroll in its paws. The mouse cleared its throat and squeaked, "Ahem. Greetings, young adventurer. Professor Hoot sent me. He has been expecting you." Leo could only gape at the talking mouse. He had read about talking animals in books, but he had never met one in real life. You can talk?" he stammered. The mouse adjusted his spectacles. "Of course, I can talk. What did you expect? We are in the Whispering Woods, after all. Now, are you coming or not? Professor Hoot is waiting." Leo, still a little stunned, nodded eagerly. "Yes, I'm coming." The mouse, whose name was Mortimer, according to him, led Leo back through another tunnel even smaller than the first. Leo had to crawl on his hands and knees, Mortimer scampering ahead, his tiny spectacles gleaming in the dim light. After what seemed like an eternity, they emerged into the most magical place Leo had ever seen. Towering trees with glowing leaves formed a canopy overhead, filtering the sunlight into dappled patterns on the forest floor. Flowers of every color imaginable bloomed everywhere, their petals shimmering with iridescent light. Butterflies with wings like stained glass fluttered through the air, and the air was filled with the gentle melody of singing birds. This was the Whispering Woods. Mortimer led Leo to a giant oak tree, its trunk so wide that it would take a dozen children to hug it. Perched on a branch near the top of the tree was a large, wise-looking owl. "Ah, Leo," the owl hooted, his voice deep and resonant. "Welcome to the Whispering Woods. I am Professor Hoot." Leo was speechless. He simply stared up at the owl, his eyes wide with wonder. Professor Hoot chuckled. "Don't be shy, young one. You were brave enough to find your way here, weren't you? I have been watching you, Leo. I know you have a kind heart and a curious mind. That is why I chose you." "Chose me?" Leo asked, finally finding his voice. "Chose me for what?" "For a very important task," Professor Hoot replied. "The Whispering Woods is in danger. A shadow is falling upon our land, and only you can help us." Leo's heart pounded. A shadow? Danger? He wasn't sure he was brave enough for this. But he looked at Professor Hoot's kind eyes and at the faces of the other animals who had gathered around, their eyes filled with hope, and he knew he couldn't turn away. "What kind of danger?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. Professor Hoot sighed. "A long time ago, there was a powerful sorcerer who lived in these woods. He was a master of dark magic, and he sought to control all of nature. But the animals and the trees fought back, and eventually he was banished from the woods. But now," Professor Hoot continued, his voice grave, "his spirit has returned. He is weak, but he is growing stronger, and he is corrupting the woods with his darkness." "What can I do?" Leo asked, his voice filled with determination. Professor Hoot smiled. "You have a gift, Leo. A gift of imagination and creativity. You can see the beauty in the world, and you can inspire others to do the same. You must use your gift to heal the woods and drive away the sorcerer's darkness." Professor Hoot explained that the sorcerer's darkness was spreading by turning the good dreams of the animals and plants into nightmares. The happy songs of the birds were becoming mournful cries, and the vibrant colors of the flowers were fading to gray. Leo's task was to help restore the good dreams and bring back the light to the woods. He gave Leo a special paintbrush made of starlight and a palette filled with colors that shimmered and glowed. Use these to paint new dreams onto the hearts of the creatures who are suffering, Professor Hoot instructed. Leo, along with Mortimer as his guide, began their quest. They visited a sad little bunny rabbit whose dreams were filled with thorny bushes and hungry foxes. Leo painted a dream of a field of sweet clover and a sunny meadow where the bunny could play safely. As he painted, the bunny's eyes lit up and a smile spread across its furry face. They helped a weeping willow tree whose dreams were filled with barren landscapes and scorching sun. Leo painted a dream of cascading waterfalls and gentle rain, nourishing the tree and bringing it back to life. The willow's branches began to sway gently in the breeze, and its leaves rustled with joy. They traveled through the woods, painting dreams and bringing hope to every creature they met. Leo discovered that the starlight paintbrush and the shimmering colors had a magical effect. They not only healed the bad dreams but also amplified the good ones, making them even more vivid and powerful. As Leo painted, he also learned a lot about the Whispering Woods and its inhabitants. He learned about the ancient wisdom of the trees, the secret language of the birds, and the interconnectedness of all living things. He realized that the woods were not just a place, but a living, breathing entity with its own heart and soul. But as they journeyed deeper into the woods, they began to feel the presence of the sorcerer's darkness growing stronger. The air became colder, the trees became twisted and gnarled, and the silence was broken only by the mournful whispers of the wind. Finally, they reached the source of the darkness, a crumbling ancient castle shrouded in shadows. The sorcerer was there, a gaunt figure with glowing red eyes, surrounded by swirling clouds of black magic. So, the sorcerer hissed, his voice like the scraping of stones, "You have come to stop me, little boy? You think your childish dreams can defeat me?" Leo stood his ground, his heart pounding but his spirit unwavering. He raised his starlight paintbrush and prepared to fight. The sorcerer unleashed a torrent of dark magic, but Leo was ready. He painted a shield of pure light around himself, deflecting the sorcerer's attacks. Then he began to paint a dream of his own, a dream of hope and love and the power of imagination. He painted the Whispering Woods as it should be, a place of beauty, wonder, and harmony. He painted the animals and the trees living in peace and friendship. He painted a world where dreams came true and anything was possible. As he painted, the light from his brush grew brighter and brighter, pushing back the darkness and filling the castle with warmth and hope. The sorcerer screamed in agony as his power began to fade. Finally, with a blinding flash of light, the sorcerer was vanquished. His castle crumbled to dust, and the darkness that had enveloped the woods began to recede. The Whispering Woods rejoiced. The birds sang their sweetest songs, the flowers bloomed in vibrant colors, and the trees danced in the wind. Leo had saved the day. Professor Hoot landed beside Leo and Mortimer, his eyes filled with pride. "You have done well, Leo," he said. "You have shown us all the power of dreams and the importance of protecting the beauty of the world." Leo smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment he had never felt before. He had faced his fears, used his gifts, and saved a magical world. But as the celebration continued, Leo felt a pang of sadness. He knew that he couldn't stay in the Whispering Woods forever. He had to go home. Professor Hoot seemed to read his mind. "Do not worry, Leo," he said. "The Whispering Woods will always be here, waiting for you. And you will always have the power to return whenever you need us." With a final hug from Mortimer and a fond farewell from Professor Hoot, Leo stepped back into the tunnel that led to his bedroom. He crawled through the tunnel, his heart filled with memories of his incredible adventure. He emerged from the tunnel beneath his bed, blinking in the bright light of his room. He looked around. His dinosaur comforter, his plush lion Rory, his sunshine-colored walls, everything was just as he had left it. Had it all been a dream? He reached into his pocket and pulled out the bright blue feather. It shimmered with an inner light, a tangible reminder of his journey to the Whispering Woods. Leo smiled. It hadn't been a dream. It had been real. And he knew that he would never forget his adventure in the secret tunnel beneath his bed. He carefully placed the feather on his bedside table, snuggled under his dinosaur comforter, and closed his eyes. As he drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of the Whispering Woods, of talking mice and wise old owls, and of the power of dreams to heal the world. And he knew with absolute certainty that the adventure had only just begun. He knew that every night he could go back to that place that now occupied his heart. All that he needed to do was to open the tiny door beneath his bedroom and let his journey begin. The sleepy giant of Snooze Mountain. Once upon a time, nestled in a valley so green it sparkled like emeralds, stood Snooze Mountain. It wasn't just any mountain, it was shaped like a giant, comfortably curled up, with grassy hair tickling the clouds and a stony nose that sniffed the gentle breeze. And as everyone in the valley knew, Snooze Mountain was home to the sleepy giant. His name, believe it or not, was Bartholomew, but everyone called him Barty. Barty was a gentle giant, as tall as 10 oak trees stacked on top of each other, with hands the size of rowboats and feet that could squash a whole field of sunflowers with one sleepy step. He had a heart as big as his mountain home, filled with kindness and a love for all the creatures that scurried, flew, and hopped around his enormous sleeping form. The only trouble was, Barty slept. A lot. He slept so much that the sun rose and set countless times before he even stretched. He snored so deeply that the wind chimes in the village of Whispering Willow at the foot of Snooze Mountain jingled like crazy every time he breathed out. And sometimes, when he had a particularly vivid dream, he'd twitch his massive leg, causing a mini earthquake that sent blueberries tumbling off the bushes and startled the squirrels in their nests. The villagers of Whispering Willow were used to it, of course. They'd learned to predict Barty's snores and brace themselves for the occasional berry-tumbling tremor. They even had a special Bartyometer, a tall wooden pole with a feather on top, to gauge the strength of his snores. The higher the feather danced, the louder Barty was snoring. One little girl named Lily wasn't just used to Barty's snapping habits. She was fascinated by them. Lily was a curious and adventurous girl with bright, inquisitive eyes and pigtails that bounced when she ran. Unlike the other children who mostly worried about playing games and collecting shiny pebbles, Lily spent her days observing Snooze Mountain and wondering about the giant who slept within. She would sit at the edge of the Whispering Willow trees and read stories of giants who were brave and kind, with happy endings to fill her imagination. What does he dream about? She'd wonder aloud, watching the clouds drift past Barty's grassy hair. Does he dream of chasing butterflies? Or maybe building castles in the sky? Or is he dreaming of saving the world from danger and despair? One day, Lily decided she'd had enough wondering. She was going to find out for herself. She packed a small backpack with a juice box, a peanut butter sandwich, and her favorite book of fairy tales. Then, with a deep breath and a skip in her step, she set off to climb Snooze Mountain. The climb was long and tiring. Lily scrambled over mossy rocks, ducked under low-hanging branches, and carefully avoided stepping on any sleeping ladybugs. The higher she climbed, the quieter the valley became. The only sound was the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant rhythmic whoosh, whoosh of Barty's snores. Finally, after what felt like forever, Lily reached the top of Snooze Mountain. And there, right in front of her, was Barty. He was even bigger than she imagined. His eyelashes were like tiny branches, his nose was like a small hill, and his chest rose and fell with each gigantic breath. Lily felt a little bit scared, but mostly she was filled with awe. She tiptoed closer and closer until she was standing right next to Barty's enormous ear. She could hear the air whistling softly as it went in and out like the sound of a gentle seashell. "Hello," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the wind. "Mr. Barty? Are you awake?" Of course, Barty didn't wake up. He was too busy dreaming. Lily sighed. She knew that waking a sleeping giant was probably impossible and maybe even a little bit dangerous. But she still wanted to know what he was dreaming about. Suddenly, an idea popped into her head. Lily remembered a story her grandmother told her about dream catchers, magical objects that could capture good dreams and keep bad dreams away. She didn't have a real dream catcher, but maybe she could improvise. Lily rummaged in her backpack and pulled out her book of fairy tales. On the cover was a beautiful illustration of a princess surrounded by colorful flowers. Carefully, she plucked a few of the petals from the illustration and, using a strand of her hair as thread, began to weave them together. She wove red petals for courage, blue petals for peace, yellow petals for happiness, and green petals for hope. As she weaved, she whispered kind words and happy thoughts into the petals, hoping they would somehow reach Barty in his sleep. When she was finished, she had created a small, fragile dream catcher. With trembling hands, she held it up to Barty's ear and whispered, "Please, Mr. Barty, dream good dreams. Dream happy dreams. Dream of a world filled with kindness and love." Then she gently tucked the dream catcher into Barty's grassy hair, right above his ear. For a moment, nothing happened. Lily held her breath, wondering if her little dream catcher had worked. Then she saw it. Barty's enormous face softened and a tiny smile flickered across his lips. His snores seemed to become a little less loud, a little less rumbly, almost gentle. Lily gasped. It worked. Her dream catcher was helping Barty have good dreams. She stayed there for a long time, watching Barty sleep and imagining all the wonderful things he might be dreaming about. She imagined him soaring through the sky on the back of a friendly dragon, helping a lost kitten find its way home, and planting a garden filled with magical flowers that bloomed in every color of the rainbow. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across Snooze Mountain, Lily knew she had to go home. She carefully climbed down the mountain, her heart filled with happiness and a sense of accomplishment. When she reached Whispering Willow, she ran straight to her grandmother. "Grandmother, grandmother, I climbed Snooze Mountain and I saw Barty. And I made him a dream catcher," she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. Her grandmother smiled and pulled her into a warm hug. "I knew you could do it, Lily," she said. "You have a kind heart and a curious spirit. Those are the most powerful tools of all." From that day on, Lily continued to visit Snooze Mountain. She would often weave new dream catchers for Barty, each one filled with different wishes and hopes. And sometimes, when she was feeling particularly brave, she would even tell him stories while he slept, stories of brave knights and clever princesses and talking animals. And slowly, ever so slowly, Barty began to change. He still slept a lot, of course. After all, he was the sleepy giant of Snooze Mountain. But his snores became gentler, his tremors less frequent, and his smile more frequent. The villagers of Whispering Willow noticed the difference too. The Bartiometer didn't dance quite as wildly anymore, and the blueberries on the bushes were a little safer. One day, Lily was sitting next to Barty's ear, telling him a story about a little bird who learned to fly when she felt a gentle rumbling beneath her. She looked up and saw that Barty's enormous eye was slowly opening. He blinked a few times as if trying to adjust to the sunlight. Then he looked down at Lily. "Hello," he said, his voice a low, rumbling sound like distant thunder. "Who are you?" Lily's heart skipped a beat. She had never imagined that Barty would actually wake up. "I'm Lily," she said, her voice trembling a little. I live in Whispering Willow." Barty looked at her for a long moment, his giant eye filled with curiosity. Then he smiled, a huge, warm smile that crinkled his eyes and made his whole face light up. "Lily," he said, "that's a pretty name. Thank you for the dreams." And as the sun set, bathing Snooze Mountain in a golden glow, Lily knew that she had done something truly special. She had befriended the sleepy giant, not by waking him up, but by helping him dream. And in doing so, she had brought a little bit of magic and kindness to the whole valley of Whispering Willow. And as you drift to sleep tonight, remember Lily and Barty. Remember that even the sleepiest giant can be touched by kindness, and that even the smallest act of love can make a big difference in the world. Now close your eyes and dream sweet dreams. Good night. The mermaid who collected stars. Marina was no ordinary mermaid. She loved swimming and playing with her dolphin friends, of course, and she adored the coral castles her father, King Neptune, ruled over. But what Marina truly loved, what made her heart sing louder than any seashell horn, was the night sky. Every night, after the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the ocean in shades of orange and purple, Marina would swim to the surface. She would push back her long, flowing emerald green hair and gaze up at the twinkling stars. They fascinated her. They seemed so far away, yet so bright and welcoming, like tiny diamonds scattered across a velvet cloth. Unlike the other merfolk who were content with shimmering pearls and sparkling sea glass, Marina longed for the stars. She wanted to hold them, to feel their warmth, to understand their secrets. Some of the older mermaids would chuckle and say, "Stars are for dreamers, Marina. Mermaids belong to the ocean." But Marina didn't let their words discourage her. She believed that even the most impossible dreams were worth chasing. One night, as she watched a particularly bright star streak across the sky, leaving a shimmering trail of stardust, Marina made a decision. "I'm going to collect the stars," she whispered to a friendly seahorse named Captain Bubbles, who always accompanied her on her nightly star-watching adventures. Captain Bubbles, who was a very practical seahorse, clicked his jaw nervously. "Collect the stars? Marina, that's impossible. They're miles and miles away, up in the sky. How will you ever reach them?" Marina smiled, her eyes sparkling like the very stars she admired. "I don't know how yet, Captain Bubbles, but I will find a way. I just know it." And so her quest began. First, Marina tried swimming as high as she could, leaping out of the water with all her might, hoping to snatch a star from the sky. She would jump and jump, her tail flashing silver in the moonlight, but the stars remained frustratingly out of reach. Next, she tried asking the seagulls who flew so high above the ocean to bring her a star. She offered them the most beautiful shells she could find, even a rare, iridescent abalone shell. The seagulls were tempted, but they explained that the stars were much too hot to hold and too far away for even their strong wings to reach. Marina felt a little discouraged, but she didn't give up. She knew that if she wanted to reach the stars, she needed a different approach. She decided to seek the wisdom of the oldest and wisest creature in the ocean, Old Man Tortoise. Old Man Tortoise had seen centuries come and go. He had witnessed the rise and fall of coral reefs, the changing currents, and the secrets hidden in the deepest trenches of the sea. He lived in a hidden grotto surrounded by glowing anemones and ancient, barnacle-covered rocks. Marina swam to the grotto, her heart filled with hope. Captain Bubbles trailed closely behind, his little seahorse tail working hard. When they arrived, Old Man Tortoise was resting peacefully on a bed of seaweed, his eyes closed. "Old Man Tortoise," Marina called out gently. "I need your help." Old Man Tortoise slowly opened one eye, then the other. He peered at Marina with his ancient, knowing gaze. "And what troubles you, little mermaid?" he asked in a voice as deep and rumbling as the ocean floor. Marina explained her quest to collect the stars, telling him about her failed attempts and her unwavering determination. Old Man Tortoise listened patiently, not interrupting once. When she finished, he closed his eyes again for a moment, as if consulting the wisdom of the ages. Finally, he spoke. "The stars are not meant to be held, little mermaid," he said. "They are meant to be admired, to be learned from, to guide us in the darkness." Marina's heart sank. Was he going to tell her she was foolish to even try? But Old Man Tortoise wasn't finished. However, he continued, "There is a way to bring the stars closer to you. You cannot hold them in your hands, but you can hold their reflections in your heart." He then told Marina about a hidden cove far beyond the coral reefs where the water was so still and clear that it reflected the night sky perfectly. He said that if Marina swam there on a night when the stars were particularly bright, she could see the stars reflected in the water as if she were swimming among them. He also told her to collect special moon shells. If she held them up to her ear, she would be able to hear their secrets. He warned her that the journey to the hidden cove would be long and dangerous, but he believed that Marina's determination would see her through. He also told her to bring a gift worthy of the stars, something she cherished that she would be willing to give them. Marina's face lit up. This was exactly the kind of guidance she needed. She thanked Old Man Tortoise profusely and, with Captain Bubbles by her side, set off on her journey. The journey to the hidden cove was indeed long and challenging. They swam past shadowy kelp forests where strange creatures lurked in the darkness. They navigated through swirling currents that threatened to pull them off course. They even had to outsmart a grumpy giant squid who tried to block their path. Through it all, Marina never lost hope. She remembered Old Man Tortoise's words and kept her eyes fixed on the distant horizon. Captain Bubbles, despite his initial apprehension, proved to be a brave and resourceful companion. He used his keen eyesight to spot dangers ahead and his quick thinking to get them out of tricky situations. Finally, after many days of travel, they reached the hidden cove. It was even more beautiful than Old Man Tortoise had described. The water was so clear it was almost invisible, and the surrounding cliffs were covered in lush, green vegetation. The air was filled with the sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine. As night fell, Marina and Captain Bubbles waited with bated breath. Slowly, as the last rays of sunlight faded, the stars began to appear, one by one, in the sky. And then something magical happened. The surface of the water in the cove transformed into a perfect mirror, reflecting the entire night sky. It was as if Marina was floating in a sea of stars. The Milky Way stretched across the water like a shimmering river of light, and the constellations twinkled with breathtaking clarity. Marina gasped, tears welling up in her eyes. It was more beautiful than she could have ever imagined. She felt an overwhelming sense of peace and connection to the universe. She spent hours swimming in the starlit water, marveling at the beauty around her. She felt like she was touching the stars, feeling their warmth, and understanding their secrets. The stars seemed to whisper to her, telling her stories of distant galaxies, of brave astronauts, and of the wonders of the cosmos. She remembered that she was supposed to give a gift to the stars. She knew what it was. From around her neck, she took a necklace her mother gave her. It was made of polished sea glass found by her mother and represented all the love she had for her. She set it on a rock near the ocean for the ocean to take and the stars to have. And as the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky, she heard the whisper of her mother telling her she was proud of her. Finally, as the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky, Marina knew it was time to leave. She thanked the stars for their beauty and their wisdom and promised to visit them again soon. When she collected her moon shells, she could hear the secrets they told, the stories of the constellations, and the reason for the tides. As she and Captain Bubbles swam back towards their home, Marina realized that she had learned a valuable lesson. She had learned that sometimes the greatest treasures are not those we can hold in our hands, but those we can hold in our hearts. She returned to her father's kingdom with a newfound appreciation for the beauty of the ocean and the wonder of the stars. She continued to collect sea glass and shells, but now she also collected stories about the stars. She would share these stories with the other merfolk, inspiring them to look up at the night sky and dream of the endless possibilities that lay beyond the horizon. And so, Marina, the mermaid who collected stars, became a legend in her own right. She showed everyone that even the most impossible dreams can come true if you have the courage to chase them and the wisdom to appreciate the beauty that surrounds you. As for you, little one, remember Marina's story. Look up at the stars tonight and let them fill your heart with wonder. Dream big, be brave, and never stop chasing your own stars, no matter how far away they may seem. And remember, the greatest treasures are always found within yourself. Now close your eyes and dream sweet dreams of mermaids, stars, and endless possibilities. Good night. The Little Blue Star and the Great Night Sky Puzzle. Once upon a time, nestled amongst the swirling clouds of the Milky Way lived a tiny, sparkling blue star named Lumi. Lumi wasn't just any star, she had the brightest twinkle in her corner of the galaxy and a heart filled with boundless curiosity. She loved listening to the stories the older, wiser constellations told about the Great Night Sky Puzzle. The Great Night Sky Puzzle, Lumi learned, was the name the stars gave to the arrangement of all the celestial bodies in the universe. It was a magnificent, ever-changing picture, a tapestry woven with planets, comets, nebulae, and millions of stars. Each star, each planet, each cosmic cloud had its own special place, contributing to the overall harmony and beauty of the night sky. The constellations told stories about how the Great Night Sky Puzzle had been started by the great weaver of the cosmos, a being of pure light and energy. The weaver had carefully and lovingly placed each piece of the puzzle one by one, creating a masterpiece of cosmic proportions. Lumi, being a young and enthusiastic star, yearned to be a part of the Great Night Sky Puzzle. She dreamed of finding her perfect spot, of lending her blue shimmer to the grand design. Every night, she would gaze out at the vast expanse of space, searching for her place, a place where she truly belonged. One day, old Mr. Ursa Major, a bear-shaped constellation known for his wisdom, summoned Lumi. "Little Lumi," he rumbled kindly, his starlight twinkling like distant campfires, "the weaver has a task for you. He's noticed a small gap in the constellation Corona Borealis, the northern crown. He believes your unique blue light is exactly what's needed to complete it." Lumi's heart leaped with joy. This was it. Her chance to be a part of the Great Night Sky Puzzle. With a burst of excitement, she thanked Mr. Ursa Major and, leaving a shimmering trail of stardust behind her, zoomed towards Corona Borealis. When she arrived, she saw the other stars of Corona Borealis, each a brilliant gem of white and gold, waiting patiently. Astra, the largest and brightest star in the crown, greeted her with a warm, welcoming glow. "Welcome, Lumi," Astra said. "We've been expecting you. The weaver told us your light would bring a special touch to our constellation." Lumi beamed. She felt so honored and eager to take her place. Astra pointed to the small gap in the crown, a space just big enough for a little star like Lumi. With a deep breath, Lumi carefully positioned herself, ready to shine her brightest. But something was wrong. Instead of fitting perfectly into the gap, Lumi felt awkward. Her vibrant blue light clashed with the gentle golds and whites of the other stars. The harmony of Corona Borealis felt disrupted, like a beautiful song with one off-key note. She tried to adjust her position, tilting this way and that, dimming her light and then brightening it again. But no matter what she did, she just didn't fit. The other stars, sensing her discomfort, tried to be encouraging. "Perhaps a little to the left, Lumi," suggested Stella, a shy, twinkling star. "Maybe if you dimmed your light just a touch," offered Sol, a warm, golden star. Lumi tried everything they suggested, but nothing worked. The gap in Corona Borealis remained stubbornly unfilled. Lumi felt a pang of disappointment. She had been so sure this was her place. Hours turned into what felt like days in star time. Lumi grew increasingly discouraged. She was beginning to think she was a failure, a puzzle piece that would never fit. Tears, tiny droplets of starlight, welled in her eyes. Astra, seeing Lumi's distress, gently approached her. "Lumi," she said softly, "it's all right. Don't be so hard on yourself. Sometimes things don't work out the way we expect them to." "But I don't fit," Lumi whispered, her voice trembling. "I thought this was where I belonged. I thought my light was needed here." "Perhaps," Astra said thoughtfully, "the weaver has a different plan for you. Perhaps your light is meant to shine somewhere else, in a place where it will truly bring harmony and beauty." Lumi looked at Astra, her blue eyes filled with confusion. "But where?" she asked. "I don't know where else I could possibly fit." Astra smiled. "The universe is vast, Lumi," she said. "There are countless places you haven't even seen yet. Don't give up hope. Keep searching, keep shining, and you will find your place." With a heavy heart, Lumi thanked Astra and the other stars of Corona Borealis. She gently floated away, leaving the crown as beautiful and harmonious as she had found it. Feeling dejected, Lumi drifted aimlessly through space for a long time. She passed by swirling nebulae painted in vibrant colors, giant planets with swirling storms, and comets trailing tails of ice and dust. But nothing seemed to spark her interest. She still felt like a puzzle piece without a puzzle. One day, as she wandered through a particularly dark and dusty corner of the galaxy, she came across a small, lonely planet. The planet was shrouded in a thick, gray atmosphere, and its surface appeared barren and lifeless. There were no other stars nearby, and the planet seemed utterly alone. Curious, Lumi approached the planet. As she drew closer, she noticed a few tiny, flickering lights on the surface. They were weak and faint, but they were there. She realized they were coming from small, huddled communities of creatures who were struggling to survive in the harsh environment. Lumi felt a pang of sympathy for these little creatures. They were living in darkness and despair without the light and warmth that she took for granted. She knew in that instant that she had to do something to help. Without hesitation, Lumi positioned herself just outside the planet's atmosphere and began to shine her brightest. Her vibrant blue light pierced through the gray clouds, bathing the planet in a warm, comforting glow. At first, the creatures were frightened by the sudden appearance of the light. But as they grew accustomed to it, they began to feel a sense of hope and encouragement. The blue light chased away the shadows and illuminated the world around them, revealing the beauty that had been hidden for so long. Lumi's light wasn't just a source of illumination, it was also a source of inspiration. The creatures began to work together, using the light to cultivate crops, build shelters, and create art. They rediscovered their love for life and began to thrive. As Lumi continued to shine, she noticed something amazing happening. The planet's atmosphere began to clear, and the surface became greener and more vibrant. Flowers bloomed, trees grew, and animals emerged from their hiding places. The planet was slowly transforming into a paradise. Lumi realized that she had finally found her place in the great night sky puzzle. She wasn't meant to fit into a pre-existing constellation. She was meant to create her own, to bring light and life to a corner of the universe that desperately needed it. Her unique blue light wasn't a flaw, it was her strength, her purpose. The great weaver of the cosmos, observing Lumi from his celestial loom, smiled. He knew all along that she wasn't meant for Corona Borealis. He had placed her there briefly to teach her a valuable lesson, that sometimes the most important thing is not to fit in, but to stand out and make a difference. From that day on, Lumi continued to shine her blue light on the little planet, watching over its inhabitants and nurturing its growth. She became a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder that even the smallest star can have a big impact. And though she might not have been a traditional piece of the great night sky puzzle, she became an essential part of its overall beauty and harmony. She learned that true belonging wasn't about fitting in, but about finding where her unique light could shine the brightest and make the biggest difference. And that, Lumi realized, was the most beautiful puzzle piece of all. And so, little one, remember Lumi and know that even if you feel like you don't fit in sometimes, your unique qualities are what make you special. Keep shining your light and you'll find your place in the world, a place where you can truly make a difference. Now close your eyes and dream sweet dreams filled with sparkling stars and endless possibilities. Good night. The crayon that drew new friends. Once upon a time, in a bright and cheerful art box, lived a crayon named Sunny. Sunny wasn't just any crayon. He was a vibrant, sunshine yellow crayon, the color of dandelions in a field and the warmest part of a summer day. He loved his life in the art box, surrounded by his crayon friends. Rosy Red, a bold and energetic crayon. Berry Blue, a calm and peaceful crayon who dreamt of oceans. Ginny Green, a crayon who loved to draw leafy trees, and many, many more. But here's the thing. Sunny felt a little lonely. You see, the art box belonged to a little girl named Lily. Lily loved to draw. Oh, how she loved to draw. She would spend hours creating fantastical worlds on paper. Rosy Red would bring her dragons roaring to life. Berry Blue would paint vast, shimmering seas for her pirate ships. Ginny Green would grow lush, mysterious forests filled with talking animals. But Lily rarely used Sunny. Yellow is just, well, yellow, she'd say with a shrug as she reached for another crayon. It's not as exciting as red or blue or green. Poor Sunny. He longed to create something amazing, something that would make Lily smile and choose him more often. He wanted to be part of the adventures on the paper. He wanted to have friends outside the art box. He dreamed of being used as much as the other crayons. One rainy afternoon, Lily sat at her art table, sighing. "Oh, bother," she said, her brow furrowed. "I want to draw a playground, but I don't know how to make it look fun." Sunny, listening intently from inside the art box, saw his chance. He wiggled and jiggled, trying to get closer to the edge of the box. He wished he could shout out, "Pick me! Pick me! I can help!" But crayons, as you know, can't talk. Just then, Lily's hand hovered over the art box. She pulled out rosy red to draw the climbing frame, berry blue to color the sky, and ginny green to draw the grassy ground. Sunny felt a pang of disappointment. Here was his chance, and she'd chosen everyone else. But then Lily looked back at the art box. She murmured. "Something's missing." That's when she saw Sunny. He was sticking out just a little, as if eager to be chosen. Lily paused, considering. "Okay, Sunny," she whispered. "Let's see what you can do." Sunny felt a surge of excitement so strong, he thought he might melt. Lily carefully peeled back a bit of his paper wrapper and gently pressed his tip onto the blank white page. At first, he felt nervous. He wasn't sure what to draw. He didn't want to disappoint Lily. He closed his eyes for a moment and thought about everything he knew that was yellow. Sunshine, of course, and daffodils, and then it hit him. He began to draw. He drew a big, bright, yellow sun smiling down from the corner of the page, warming the entire playground. He drew yellow sand in the sandbox, soft and inviting. He drew yellow butterflies fluttering around Ginny Green's leafy trees. He drew a long, winding yellow slide that looked so fast and fun it made Lily giggle just looking at it. And then he had an idea. He drew a group of children playing on the playground. He used the other crayons to color their clothes and hair, but he gave each of them a big, beaming yellow smile. They were laughing and playing together, pushing each other on the swings, building sandcastles, and having the best time ever. Lily watched in amazement as Sunny transformed her ordinary playground into a place of joy and laughter. When he was finished, she stepped back to admire her drawing. It was the most beautiful playground she had ever seen. "Wow," she breathed. "Sunny, you're amazing." Lily picked up Sunny and held him close. "I never knew yellow could be so much fun," she said. "Thank you, Sunny. You made my playground perfect." From that day on, everything changed for Sunny. Lily used him all the time. He colored the centers of sunflowers, the beaks of baby birds, the stripes on bumblebees, and the crowns of kings and queens in her fairy tales. He was no longer just yellow. He was sunshine, happiness, laughter, and friendship. But the best part was, Sunny started making new friends inside the drawings. The children on the playground were his first real friends outside of the art box. He would watch them play and laugh, and he felt a warmth spread through him that wasn't just the color yellow, but the color of friendship. One day, Lily was drawing a picture of a picnic in the park. She used rosy red to draw the checkered blanket, berry blue to draw the clear blue sky, and ginny green to draw the tall, swaying trees. Then, she picked up Sunny. "I need something special for this picnic, Sunny," she said. "What should we draw?" Sunny thought for a moment. He remembered how lonely he had felt before Lily chose him. He wanted to make sure everyone felt included, just like he did now. He began to draw. He drew a big, round, yellow cake, covered in colorful frosting. But it wasn't just any cake. It was a friendship cake. He drew each of his crayon friends, rosy red, berry blue, ginny green, and all the others, sitting around the picnic blanket, sharing slices of the cake. They were laughing and talking, telling stories, and enjoying each other's company. And then he drew something even more special. He drew himself, Sunny, right there beside them, sharing a slice of the friendship cake. He had never felt so happy in his life. As Lily finished the drawing, she smiled. "This is perfect, Sunny," she said. "A friendship cake for all our friends." And that's exactly what it was. From that day forward, the crayon friends in the art box decided to have their own friendship cake party every week, just like in Lily's drawing. They would share stories and jokes, and they would always remember the little yellow crayon who showed them the true meaning of friendship. Even better, The characters Sunny drew started coming to life in Lily's imagination. She would tell stories about the children on the playground and the crayons at the picnic, and soon all of them became real friends to Lily, too. One night, as Lily was getting ready for bed, she looked at her drawings, now filling her walls. She saw the playground, the picnic, the sunflowers, and all the other beautiful things Sunny had helped her create. "You know, Sunny," she whispered, holding the crayon close, "you're not just a yellow crayon, you're a friendship crayon. You draw happiness and bring everyone together." Sunny, nestled in her hand, glowed a little brighter. He knew that he was more than just a color. He was a friend, and he was so happy. And so, dear one, remember Sunny the yellow crayon. Remember that even the smallest, most unassuming things can be extraordinary. Remember that everyone has something special to offer. And remember that the best color of all is the color of friendship, a color that makes the world a brighter and happier place. Now close your eyes and imagine Sunny drawing a beautiful dream just for you. A dream filled with sunshine, laughter, and lots of friends. Sweet dreams.